I'm Hadku Mendofro from Ethiopia. I am the head for Livestock Identification and Animal Welfare Department. By profession, I am a veterinarian. My first degree is DVM in veterinary medicine. My second degree is public health. And recently, my third degree, I finished in cancer biology. So on molecular biology, specifically on cancer, cellular and molecular mechanism of cancer. So I'm just a little bit mixed up. So yeah, so I'm more focused on public health. Okay, today I will present an overview on the animal welfare in Ethiopia, what's going on in our country. So to give just a little background on Ethiopia, Ethiopia owns a large livestock resource with an estimated population of 166 million ruminants in total, cattle, sheep and goats, and so on. So we do have also around 57 million of chickens, and we do have also more than 10 million of camel, and so on. So it's about 82% of rural households depend on this livestock resource, and it has a 25% of GDP contribution to the nation. So in Ethiopia we do have different endemic animals. To show you some of them, this is WOAH ibex. We do have also wolves, which are foxes, which is red fox, which are specific to Ethiopia, and we do have Chelada baboon, which is red-hearted Chelada baboon. And we do have also different birds which are endemic to Ethiopia.
Just keep in mind you have 15 minutes.
Okay, Ethiopia is located in East Africa, and it has 12 states and 2 charter seats and 92 zones and more than 1,000 waradas, we call districts. So we do have this all population, but we are hampered with different problems related to animal disease, genetics, breeding, and feed supply. So to tackle this, different interventions are taken by the government. Some of it, there are different strategies and initiatives are crafted, like the Yelma Trufat, which is the bounty of basket, recently, which is initiated so that it's focused on dairy, poultry, and that of apiculture. And also improving disease surveillance, so we use different digitals for to collect information about these from different districts using Adidas, Dover, and establishing different checkposts, quarantines, vaccination, and implementing food safety HASP and different ISO systems. And we also do some capacity buildings on laboratories. We do have regional laboratory, which is, most of you know this NADIC, and we do have also different laboratories, around 14 regional laboratories too. And finally, to come up to the point, we are also establishing a department which is an animal identification traceable system and animal welfare, which is exclusively focusing on animal welfare. So why is increasing focus on animal welfare? Because in 2011 we did a PVS evaluation. So in that it is recommended that welfare should be addressed, and to enhance livestock productivity and health, to the public health and food safety, and to compliance with international standards, and to ethical and moral responsibilities too. Okay, so activities related to animal welfare, what activities are going on? Like The establishment of an animal welfare department, which has 2 experts actually recruited by the government under the livestock identification and traceable system. So we do have dedicated department which is showing a commitment of the government for animal welfare. Okay. So the duty and responsibility of this department is to develop some policies, regulations, strategies, and to give a public awareness and education, training and capacity building, and collaborating and coordination with different NGOs, charities which are working on animal welfare, and to do research and development with universities and research institutes. So these are some activities which were undergoing in the previous year. This is last year we gave with the Addis Ababa University and our ministry to different stakeholders which are contributing on animal welfare. And we do have also some marching which creates awareness among the people. So yeah, we also give some free treatments for different animals, and we also do some kinds of show which will appreciate those who kept their animals well. We give them a recognition, like the one you see on the light is not giving on the bottom, the card which you see, it is it's given a recognition how he kept his animal. And we do have some tours regarding animal welfare, and we do have also a animal welfare working group, which is I'm also the chair for that. This group is which is focusing on animal welfare, which has a member of different stakeholders, FAO, ILRI, and different charities like SPANA, Brook Ethiopia, and Dong Sanctuary, and so on, and associations which are professional associations like Ethiopian Veterinarian Association and Ethiopian Animal Science Professionals, and so on. So the group is serve as a platform for coordinating efforts, sharing knowledge, and developing comprehensive strategies to enhance animal welfare nationwide. So it also aligns its activities with the international, the government activities with the international norms related to animal welfare. So we do have monthly meeting actually. So this is some of the meetings we did in the past years. In the past months in this year, 2024. And we do have also recently we got a proclamation which is focusing on animal health and welfare. In Ethiopia, we do have two legislative points, which are the Ministry of Cabinet first need to approve or ratify any legal framework, then it goes to the Parliament for ratification, final ratification. So the Ministry of Cabinet, they ratified last June. So we are expecting on maybe this end of this month or in early October, it will get ratified by the Parliament. So we'll have a comprehensive legal framework on animal welfare. So that's the one which we are looking, and we are happy and excited to get ratified soon. And the other thing we develop is a strategy, which is 5-year strategy, which was previously developed by the help of IGAD and so on. But it was expired, so we just revisit it and develop it, and we just strategizing a 5-year strategy on animal welfare from 2025 to 2030. So it's everything is done, but it needs to be validated by respected officials. And we also develop the focus of the strategies. It's on the livestock and working animals, pet animals, which includes the companion animals, and wildlife, aquatic animals, and animals used for research and education. So the focus area is the strategic focus area is those 6 points. And we do have also strategic pillars, which are objectively, which are on the policies, legislations, and also communication and awareness and advocacy. And we do have strategy objective 3, which focus on promotion and education and training, capacity building, and the other is sustainability. These are some of the workshops we did. Then we also developed a communication strategy on animal welfare, which is actually on animal health, but in its subset it has also animal welfare. So this communication strategy is how we gonna transmit our knowledge or our message regarding welfare to different stakeholders. Like for example, if you go to illiterate, which they can't read, if you go give them a written document about animal welfare, it doesn't work. So you need to create what kinds of communication you need to, means of communication, what kind of message. All those things should be addressed well for different stakeholders depending on the their situation. So this document is developed accordingly. So this is a communication strategy, and we do also have a guideline which is focusing. Of course, this guideline is more focusing on the value chain of animal trade, which is supposed to move destined for export. So it's exclusively for animals which are destined for export. So we do have also that guideline. We do have different like 14 different guidelines which are on transport of animals, slaughter of animals, and handling of animals, and so on. So these are some of the guidelines to give you a highlight. And we do have also some SOP which is not yet it needs to be validated, but we developed SOP for different purpose, for animal handling, slaughtering, and so on. So this is some of the examples. Yeah. So to come up to the regional training seminar for WOAH, National Focal Points for Animal Health. So what we are expecting and what will be our contribution, just we are expecting to have a capacity building, and we are expecting to have a harmonized practice in Africa, which is also in the international norm. We need to have a strengthened regional network, and we need also to have advancement of national frameworks, and we are also expecting monitoring and reporting. So we need a kind of how we gonna monitor animal welfare, and we need also to report to the regional WOAH or other stakeholders. And specifically we need to address that we need to have a framework, regional or continental framework, so that we will get updated and shared good experiences, good practices, because I'm sure that different good practice will be in each country. So we need to have a network to be created. And thank you for finally I would like to acknowledge the government of Kenya for hosting us, and WOAH for giving this training, and AU IBAR. I thank you all. Thank you so much.
Another round of applause for Ethiopia for saving us 2 minutes. It's Eritrea? It's Ethiopia. He's confusing me. Don't talk. The next presentation is from...
Yeah.
I thought I was still chairing. Okay, then you can have... I wanted the 3 presenters and then we discuss. I don't know. Okay. 2 questions. He says he's the chair today. So 2 questions. From where? Decide who asks the questions. Yeah. Choose who asks. Okay. South Sudan and my neighbor Liberia.
Good morning. Well, thank you so much for the presentation. I have been thinking that with this presentation, I guess you have some legal framework that you're working with when it comes to animal welfare and health. So in this, I was just thinking that if this document could be incorporated into maybe the NAPT, maybe the National Action Plan, maybe honor the One Health platform, because when you are dealing with animal welfare and health, it also go in line with the One Health platform. So that would be better to collaborate with the One Health platform to see how best it could be strengthened from that point. Because what I saw from the presentations seems to be that you are on good footing when it comes to the animal welfare and health in Ethiopia. So we hope that these things could be put into place. If you have a policy, that could be good. And also, you talking about the health, I don't know, the welfare and the health, are they the same document? Are you talking about animal welfare and health to be the same document? Then you have to like have a line of demarcation to see how best you could separate it. Thank you.
South Sudan.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Hagu, thank you for the presentation. I think that was very informative. My comment or question is, how are you doing this? Are you being funded by a project or through a project or nationally by the government in order to do this? I think that is amazing. The second is, what is an impact on the ground so far? Can we see a difference if I travel like I used to travel from Addis to Jinka and Sosomo? Will we be seeing an impact on the animal health and animal welfare issues, like on transportation, animal being moved on moving on hooves to the market, livestock market, or something? Has something improved so far? Thank you.
One last one. Your neighbor on your left side.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
You talked about public awareness.
Yeah.
And attitude change. Most times, some cultures have certain practices which are against animal welfare in Africa here. How are you handling this as far as attitude change is concerned? I want to be given more light on that. Thank you.
Pardon me, would you repeat your question?
I am saying that you talked about public awareness,
Yeah.
and in particular attitude change. And I am very sure African cultures have different activities, let me call them activities, which they do on animals, which are against animal welfare. How are you handling this? How are you making people aware that those activities they are doing are against animal welfare? I want to get your experience.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you for I think Mr. Chair, if you allow me, I think there was a question from doctor, I think. Okay, 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 okay. So, thank you for the question. I will be fast. So, thank you, my brother from Liberia, who mentioned is that it should be incorporated into One Health. I think the move will be to that direction because whether we like or not, the situation is pushing us to work environmentalists, veterinarians, and medical doctors together. So yeah, it will be part of that. But yeah, I see the future, but recently we are not much more engaged on that. And regarding the communication strategy from Dr. Agol, the demarcation, I mean, the other from Liberia, the demarcation from the animal health and animal welfare on the communication strategy. You know, sometimes we can't separate. If we to separate animal health from animal welfare from animal health, it will be difficult unless otherwise, you know, creating some kinds of modalities. It's part of that. So clearly indicated animal welfare. When you talk about the well-being of the animal, health, management, and so on, you are talking about animal welfare. So it's part of that. And the other is from South Sudan, Dr. Agul. Yeah, some of them they are supported by the project, like the guideline and communication strategy. Yeah, but you know the projects, unless you push them to this is my strategic area, so you need to focus here, they will not just fund for that. So it's also the interest of the government and the focus of the government that pushes them to support that on that. And regarding the impact, I think recently we see some developments regarding the awareness and so on. Maybe I'm also answering my brother from Uganda also. So the thing is, we see recently in Fiche, which is around West Addis Ababa, there is a city which is Fiche. So all of a sudden, which is also a surprise for us, the elders come up just in our city. Horses are not allowed to, you know, pull carts. So it's forbidden. Like, you know, this is our religious leaders and kinds of elders. So you know, the public will accept that, so they stop it. So which is also to our surprise, because you don't know, you put some communication and this awareness and so on, it flare up, so they will conclude. So that's more than the legal framework even. So they stop now. No horse is allowed to carry anything. So that's the impact we see. Recently, we are also looking to construct a comprehensive equine sanctuary in Asala, maybe if you know. So we are also working on that. The plan, everything, the civil plan, everything is done. So we will go to construction maybe in
I
2025.
think you have done a good job so far.
Yeah.
You're eating into Kenya's.
Did anybody not get their area covered?
Yeah.
Next
So,
presentation, please. No,
yeah, thank you so much.
thank you very much. I think we keep the other questions for the next presenter. We'll need 2 weeks, Buzz. It's already evaluation.
Did you already appoint a new focal point, Julius?
Yes.
Good. Okay, I need to share this and I never know how to do it. Share.
Good morning.
Juguni, sorry, because you are a woman, you have 10 minutes. Yes. My mother is a woman, she can squeeze everything in 5 minutes.
That is referred to as gender harassment. I know you like harassing the opposite gender. At most, unfortunately, you require all of us for you to be there. Yeah, without us, you are not there. Thank you. Okay, my name is Dr. Jane Juguna. I come from Kenya. As you can see, that's our beautiful flag, which we are proud of. And I work in the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, and I also in the State Department of Livestock, Directorate of Veterinary Services. I'm a vet by training, and I'm also a manager by trainings. So I've done strategic management for my next degree. Now, I'm going to give you the status of animal welfare in Kenya. I know it's like any other African countries because this concept was not, although Kenya, I think we had thought before because we used to have a law that used to protect animals, but it was only against cruelty. It was not about the welfare. And so you find that not much, we are still in the process of putting institutions in place for administration of animal welfare. That was just the definition. I know all of us are vets. Sorry. Yes? What has happened?
Ooh, what's happening there? Okay. Okay, so only use these two buttons because if you click on this one, you end the. Yes, you can also use this one. Let me just make sure that this is working. No. Now it's working.
Okay. So I said we already know the definition. When the welfare is good, it's when the animal feels safe, it is not suffering from any unpleasant things such as pain, distress, and also it's able to express its normal behavior. Now, you see, if I don't come here and say what the veterinary services does, that means I will not get my salary at the end of the month. So I have to be very careful to market it. And so that I know the director yesterday actually said more about it. And you can see that one of our mandate is to improve animal welfare. And that is fully embedded in our strategic plan. Those are the 5 freedoms that we try to achieve. And animal welfare in Kenya, it's just a small unit. So you can imagine when it's not even a section or a division or a department, even the finances and even the staffing will be quite low. So it has not yet been recognized so much. It's there, yes, because I'm there and we have been there before. But then you can see the magnitude of the way it is put. It is it's so small that resources would not be forthcoming like the others. As you can see, it's it is just a unit in the Animal Welfare and Veterinary Advisory section, which I head, which is under disease surveillance. You can see the long division, disease surveillance, vector regulatory. So it's a very small thing within the directorate. And in the recent past, you find that we were 6 working in that section. There was a time when I was only alone, delivering animal welfare, doing communication and publicity and branding, and also extension services. So when you have such a huge amount of work, you find that trying to divide the time and the resources becomes difficult. And so you give very little time to what you are supposed to achieve. And currently we are 2 members with my colleague there, Miriam. We are the ones who are steering still the same department with all that immense work. And the services, the good thing is that in the delivery of services, we are endowed with very many helpers out there. As you can see, we have the Kenya Society for Protection of Cruelty Against Animals. That is a legal body within Kenya. It is very good because when it comes to issue of handling any misdemeanor on animal health and cruelty to animals, they take up the matter. They also have sanctuaries for the animals that they rescue. The government has not yet constructed any of the sanctuaries. Then we have the animal welfare organizations. These animal welfare organizations are quite many, and for us to deal with them, we have an association, an umbrella association, which is chaired by the Director of Veterinary Services. We call it Animal Welfare Association of Kenya, of which I chair, which we meet quarterly, and so we are able to develop synergy and complement one another in the delivery of animal welfare. We also have the farmer organizations, whom we have been using to get all the way to the farmers. We have the enforcement officers, and also the veterinary public health. We have Dr. Kariuki there, especially in the issue of transport and slaughter of animals. For the enforcement officers, we found out that we had left them behind when we were delivering animal welfare services. And you see, without them, we cannot go far because we do not have a prosecutory role. Ours is to enforce but not prosecute. So what we have done, if you had the director yesterday, he said that we have already developed what we call a multi-agency institution whereby we are dealing with the law enforcement officers. We involve even the judiciary to expedite the cases very fast, and also the public health because of the issue of food safety. And we have been working with them very well. We were having a rapid resort initiative for 100 days. It was meant actually to help enforce all the livestock laws, but more so the donkey bush slaughter, which was so rampant. And of course, you know, when they are being slaughtered in the bush, no animal welfare is catered for. We have a legal framework which we implement. One of them, of course, is our constitution. The constitution recognizes animal welfare, but the national government has been left with the work of developing the policies, the strategies, the laws, the standards, and the guidelines. The implementation of animal welfare is delegated to the sub-county levels, which we refer to as the counties. And it's good to inform you that some of the counties have already developed bills for the implementation of animal welfare. I think for Nairobi, public participation was 2 weeks ago. And we find that we are encouraging all the counties or the subnational levels to develop their own specific, county-specific laws, because the way the animal welfare is being violated in Nairobi is not the same way that is being violated in the arid and semi-arid lands, and the requirements are completely different. So we also implement the Chapter 7 of the WOAH Terrestrial Code. We have a very old act, that is Prevention of Cruelty of Animals Act, CAP 360, That is the one we have been using so far. But because of the age, you find that, and also the inflation, the kind of fines that are meted on the culprits are quite low. So we are now currently, we are reviewing the act, not just to include the issue of cruelty, but also to include the issues of welfare. We also have the Animal Health Act, which helps us in the prevention and control of animal diseases. We have the Meat Control Act. This usually talks about the transport of animals, the way they should be transported and the way they should be slaughtered. And as I've said, currently we have already developed bills. They are in various stages. They have already been drafted, awaiting cabinet approval so that they can go to parliament. One of the bill is the Animal Health Bill. We have also developed the Animal Welfare and Protection Bill among the various legislations, which we are waiting. Once it's enacted, we will be able now to deal with the issues of animal welfare squarely. And you know, once it becomes an act, it's now the honors of the government to fund the implementation of the act. We also have the various regulations that we are using. Some of them have become obsolete because our regulations only stay for 10 years. So we need to review the regulations. Policies and strategies. We are currently implementing the Animal Welfare Strategy for Africa. The one which we developed for Kenya under IGAD, it was not implemented because in Kenya we have a certain procedure for developing government documents. And the procedure must be followed to the letter. If you don't, somebody will go to court and declare it unconstitutional, especially the part of public participation. This, I think you have heard even the finance bill. You've heard about our finance bills. The issue of public participation and taking the views of public is key. So if in the course of development, we do not follow all the procedures and all the steps, then the bill, or even if it's a bill, a policy, a strategy, or guidelines, anything, it cannot be implemented. But it's good to tell you that we are in the process of just kind of reviewing, because everything was there. It's only the procedure that was not followed. Some of the welfare issues encountered, as you can see, it's the issue of sports. Those people who have had bullfighting in Luhyaland in Kenya, it is an issue. Cockfighting, we have the pain and injuries. We also have the housing. Usually, like the donkeys, they have no housing. They are just left in the markets. We also, the issue of inadequate water, especially in the arid and semi-arid areas. Transport of animals, overloading. For those who have been in Kenya, sometimes you might see even people carrying poultry on top of buses. And also during slaughter. And especially, we have, I think we have not yet, as animal welfare, we have not yet thought so much about disasters. We don't come in strongly in terms of disasters during fire, drought, and flooding. I think we need to do that. Then the benefits are there, the issue of security, disease control, public health, access to international markets. The ongoing activities, what are we doing now? We are following up on the Animal Welfare Protection Bill. We are also in the course of development, the development of the Animal Welfare Strategy. We are also in the development and review of the animal welfare regulations. We are also developing animal welfare inspection guidelines and also enforcement of animal welfare. Under the Rapid Results Initiative, which I think I mentioned, these are now the challenges. Now this is where the development partners come in. Patrick, and you can see we have obsolete laws which needs to be reviewed, and with this we will require finances because the process for reviewing the laws is quite long. We also have a problem with our slow legislative process. You may take a bill and it takes even 5 years before it has been enacted into an act of parliament. Then we have very few animal welfare inspectors. Once we are waiting for the bill to go through so that it can give us the full mandate now of employing as many inspectors. We are also done the restructuring. We are also doing the restructuring of the veterinary department, where we are saying that we need to embed government inspectors there. Then the lifestyle, that one I've talked about, lack of budget. Imagine all that work without a line budget from the government. So how do we implement animal welfare function? Inadequate staffing is one of them because of exit and no replacement. There is also lack of awareness. For you to do awareness, you need budget. So we need that, and traditions that infringe on animal welfare. Just one, as you comment, my expectation from this workshop is by the time we come out of here, one thing, we'll know the functions of the focal points. Second, we will develop connections and strong relationships that can help us move animal welfare forward. It's also good that we have the development partners here, because now they will see our bottlenecks and they can be able now to come in and see where do they assist us to move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kenya. We have 10 minutes for the next presenter and questions. What should we do? Otherwise, he's going to run out of time. Let's decide democratically. What should we do? 10 minutes for next present. You say next presentation, eh? Okay.
Jane is suggesting that we move on and that we take some time for the questions on the two presentations. I think Mauritius is next.
Yeah, Mauritius, you have 8 minutes, unfortunately.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Ramprogas, Senior Veterinary Officer, working at the Animal Welfare Unit. Oh, sorry. So we have an Animal Welfare Act 2013, which caters for animal welfare and protection of animal. And we have a regulation, animal welfare, experimentation on animals regulation. As you know, Mauritius is the second largest exporter of non-human primates, the macaque fascicularis. So we also carry out experimentation on animals in Mauritius. So in 2017, we had this regulation prepared and in place for companies in research, medical research. And in the Animal Welfare Act is mandated to protect the welfare and the protection of animals. And we have two units working. It's the Animal Welfare Unit under the LVD, and we have a parastatal, the MSO, Mauritius Society for Animal Welfare, which is under the aegis of a ministry. And so we have an authorized officers from the two departments designated as authorized officers under the law to carry out inspections. This is a small brief of the Livestock and Veterinary Division. So our mission and vision is to protect the animal welfare, to promote animal welfare, and to to be an institution which has the trust for all stakeholders in our animal production industry. So the animal welfare unit verify compliances under the regulation of the main act and regulations which were made under the act. So mainly the main sections of the first sections of which overlooks cruelty to offenses of cruelty on animals, obligations of dog owners, and experimentation. The animal care officers, who are the authorized officers, issue notice of non-compliance of Section 39 in case when they are doing a visit or attending a complaint, they see any offenses which have been committed. So a notice of non-compliance is given to the owner or to the breeder. So the main activities, as I said, is inspections which are carried out when complaints are registered through mails or people coming directly to the office complaining against animal cruelty. And we also carry out audits on animal holding establishments like monkey breeding facilities, poultry industries, slaughterhouse. So this is a small brief how we proceed when we have registration for holding dog shows, what's the process, and how we do carry out the inspections. And we also register animal breeders, animal trainers, and we also conduct inspection and awareness programs on animal welfare in other breeding establishments. This is a small flow how complaints are received, where people are encouraged, publics are encouraged to come to the office or by mails or phone calls or on a CSU portal where we can register any complaint in regards to cruelty, or we think there's an animal is being ill-treated. So we have an animal care officer who carry out the inspection and reports, and we do the follow-up. If the case is a severe case and we need to, we lodge a police complaint, and there's fines and follow-ups which are being carried out. So for the last year, June 23 to June 24, we had around 1,024 cases reported to us and attended by the unit. And most of the cases, we can say it's not related really to animal cruelty, but maybe some noise or other nuisance which may be raised during breeding. The second unit, which also caters for animal welfare, is the Animal Society for Animal Welfare, the MSO. They are more mandated for dog control and sterilization campaigns. So Mauritius has a big population of stray animals, around 200,000 stray dogs, including cats. So which is a major issue for Mauritius, because it has an impact on the tourism sector. So Mauritius has been working on a project where we have encouraged people to sterilize their own dogs, their pets. Registration of dogs and cats mandatory. We have carried out a dog population survey, which is ongoing, and we have in place a catch, neuter, release program for stray dogs. So this is an explanation of how the mass sterilization own dogs are carried out. So we have vets from the MSO and private vets, clinics, which are engaged to sterilize, to run out the campaign for own dogs, where we facilitate the breeders by providing assistance, transport assistance, post-operative care assistance. So we, as I said, we also request the registrations of dogs and cats also. And we are working out a pet management software to facilitate this process. So the catch, neuter, release project, which Mauritius has been working on, where we are catching the stray dogs with the help of ONG, and we sterilize, identify, and release the dog on the same area where they've been captured. The MSO also carries awareness and communication programs where schools, universities, and other platforms are being used to encourage people and show awareness of, of animals to sensitize the people to have a better knowledge of welfare for animals. This is part of the offenses of cruelty and the fines, which have been updated because of the law was dated in 2013, and there have been amendments in 2002 to bring up the fines, which were in 2013 very small and insignificant. So this is part of penalties which are being exercised now when there is a police case or there is a complaint in court. So the expectation of Mauritius is, as we haven't carried out any amendments on the sections of the law in the Animal Welfare Act 2013, we would like to have a policy assistance in policy gap analysis in the existing laws, and to find out the challenges which we have encountered during the process, during the implementation process, setting up performance indicators in tracking animal welfare, and evaluation of effectiveness of monitoring and evaluation data framework, impact assessments on climate change and sustainable practice on animal welfare, training and capacity building in data collection, and methods for better animal welfare strategies. One of the main concerns for Mauritius is the primate industry is refocusing their strategies, which is now more focused in experimentation to be carried out in Mauritius on for medical purposes, and we need assistance to review the regulation in place so as to ensure the welfare of animals are well catered. Also, we have the issue of educational purpose, where people or universities are using animals for attaining manual skill, and in the WOAH chapter in regard of use of animals for educational purpose, it's very restrictive. We need assistance to overlook the main impacts which we think there will be on animals during when animals are used for education. Like we have a case in Mauritius where we have a university requesting the use of animals for a postgraduate curriculum for pharmacology, and they want to use animal as a method to show them how to restrain an animal, the injection sites, and the pharmacokinetics of the drugs they will be using. So for us, we want to have a better legislation in place to ensure that the welfare of animals are taken care. So this is for Mauritius' main expectations. from this workshop? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mauritius. I know thinking in Creole, then translate to French, then to English, you did a very good job.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. And we are already going into the aquatic animal chapter 7 time, so your time is being reduced by already 5 minutes. So I don't know how, do we give her questions or she did a good job? She did a very good job. You can take your seat.
Thank you.
So my chairmanship ends here unless the Tanzanian chair is not around. Annette, where are you? Oh, you are here. No time for questions. My time ended 5 minutes ago, so I cannot create more time. Sorry about that. Unless the overall organizer allows it, but my chairmanship ended at 10. So I don't want to be arrested. I don't want to walk from Kenya.
A hand for the chair, the outgoing chair.
Thank
Thank you. I think mine was with reference to the Kenyan presentation when they made reference to the lack of animal welfare inspectors. So do we have animal inspectors generally, animal health inspectors? Because maybe what we lack is training more than the personnel. Or are you saying you just want to hire people who will specifically do animal welfare inspections? Okay. I don't know. My suggestion would be if you have animal health inspectors, you capacitate those people to do the welfare inspection. It makes it easier. That would be, yeah. I think for me it's that. Thank you.
Maybe if you allow me to Mauritius. Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering with the neutering and release of animals project. So is that feasible? I mean, with the number, how many population do you have? Because it will need a lot of work, a lot of investment, and experts also. That's one thing. The other thing is you said that you put some ear notching on the stray dogs. So is that welfare okay with that? Is that in line with the animal welfare? Because it's painful. I mean, if you notch, no, notching.
To cover all the, no, but.
Thank you. Like this, like this. Where is water? The water there in this point and that point. Oh. Thank you indeed, Mr. Yes, you can sit. Mr. Leopard, I think it's better you have your all presentations and then we can ask you questions. I give you half an hour, if you accept. You can have your all presentations and then you ask you.
Yeah, we are going to divide this slot with the Tenzin. Then I will go for the 7-1. Then Tenzin is going to start. We are going to try to follow the order of the chapters of the code.
Okay, you are welcome.
But we are going to try to go through all the 14 chapters in 1 hour.
1 hour, 14 chapters. Thank you.
No, but it's just to, we are going to, at least the idea is to highlight the main points and I'm going to also stop more in chapter 7.1, which I mentioned that is one of the chapters that are being under revision, and show you what are the revision of that chapter. Then going to the first presentation, we are going to start, well, first of all, I think that you already know the section 7 of the code. Then probably I'm not going to say anything new to you. Just, as I say, highlight some of the points that we are interested to transmit you. Then, concerning the chapter 7.1, which is the introductory chapter of the section 7 for both codes, for the aquatic also. In the case of the terrestrial one, it was first adopted in 2004. Then it's an old chapter. It's one of the first with the slaughter, killing, and transport ones, and was recently modified in 2019, but just was, I have to say, cosmetic changes. They have 4 articles. The 7.1, it's the general consideration. Here we are mentioning and more or less repeating what is animal welfare for the organizations. Reference in a way for the 5 freedoms, not mention it, but also giving an idea. And here, here is some of the wording that is under discussion that we wanted to add. It has been a lot of research, not only to try to avoid negative experience, but also to give animals positive experience. That's sometimes it's named as positive welfare. Then in terms of animal welfare, it's not necessary to avoid negative things. It's also important to provide them. Some examples, unfortunately, we don't have, we didn't adopt that chapter, but for example, provide in the case of laying hens, a place where they can have a nest, that it will be a positive welfare experience. That kind of things. This is the text I'm showing in blue here. It's what it's proposing for the revision of the chapter. Then it's not already in the current chapter. Then, as also, I invite you to review the report of the Code Commission that we are going to start the meeting next week, because we are going to, with the Code Commission, review these proposals. Then in Article 7.1.2, there are the general principles for animal welfare. This article it's quite important because even if there is sometimes no specific chapter for an operation and a species, we can always go to this article, because the idea is to can be used. One a big expert on animal welfare, Professor David Fraser from the University of British Columbia in Canada, told me the 5 freedoms could be a poster that you are going to have in the entrance of your barn, in the entrance of the cage, for example, in a zoo, where you need to recall what is important for the animals. Then good nutrition, good environment, health, behavior, and a good mental state, and check for those aspects in through animal based. This because we are quite keen to help members to assess the welfare of the animals. Remember that this is not something that has been adopted. It's a proposal that you can find in the report of the Code Commission, and you're going to have probably a final proposal, hopefully, as I mentioned, for adoption for the next general session. In Article 7.1, 1, 3, which are the basics, scientific basis for the recommendations. Here we mention some measures that need to be also assessed. We talk about the quality of life. We repeat the 5 freedoms that are probably is going to also be complemented with the 5 domains. And we talk about the criteria that becomes the indicators. Here, the idea will be to include the physical and mental states or that are including in the quality of life. This is one of the main changes of this article. I'm just including the main changes. There is also some editorial ones in the proposal that it was published in the report of the Code Commission of the February 2024 meeting. Then if you go to the website and to go to that report, the February Code Commission meeting, you're going to have the proposal that is I am mentioned. Also, there is an important piece of text that I wanted to add after point 2. It's mentioned that the welfare assessment can be either a point in time or over the period of time such as the lifetime. Yesterday someone mentioned that animal welfare should be continuous from the production of the animals, the production system, through the transport, through the slaughterhouse. In that order, not the one that I mentioned with the slaughter in the middle. There is a value of using, and here we mention the 5 freedoms and the 5 models model. The 5 domains model allows consideration to be given to both the degree and the accumulation of positive, then we include the terms of positive welfare, and negative experience over the duration of the animal's life. Here then we are also including the concept of the 5 domains, but also this the positive welfare needs. Then in Article 7.14, which is the guiding principle for the measures, how to measure or assess to assess welfare. Here we mention the animal-based measure concept, the resource-based measure concept, and the design-based management-based measures concept, but the Commission thought that it was important to better define it, and because of that, there is some wording to define animal-based measure as the evaluation of the response of an animal or as an effect on animal use to assess its welfare. Then we try to be more specific on that. In the last Code Commission meeting, there was a member that they request more information, and if you go to the report of the February meeting, the last February meeting Code Commission report, there is a paper that was prepared by the collaborating centers regarding the 5 models and also the use of this definition. Then you can ask me directly if you wish the link to that document. Also, in terms of resource-based measure, the idea is to include a wording defined as an evaluation of a feature of the environment in which the animal is kept or to which it's exposed. That is resource-based measures. And finally, management-based measure is defined as an evaluation of what the animal handler does and with which management process or tools may be used. Then that will give more detail and explanation on what we are referring when we talk about animal base, which is, as I mentioned yesterday, is the way that we are developing the standards, defining criteria and measures, and also helping, supporting with some indicators that are mainly animal-based one, even if also in all the chapters we emphasize the idea that design or resource-based measures and management-based measures are also useful for the assessment of the welfare of the animals. The last article of this chapter is the general principle for the welfare of animals in livestock production system. Here there's no changes. Here we talk about the importance of genetics, the importance of the environment where the animals are, also the more or less going back to the 5 freedoms, the needs of feed, the water, etc. The health, the health aspect, this health condition and status of the animals. Also, we talk about a little bit the painful interventions. If you remember in more or less all the chapters on animal production system, there are some painful interventions that need to be done because of management aspect, and then there's some recommendation how to deal with that. Some about the training or skills that the owners or handlers need to have, etc. But this article is not being changed. In terms of the aquatic code, here there is no changes. Remember that I also mentioned yesterday that the aquatic animal welfare chapters are going to start a reviewing process, but first it's going to be a revision of the science behind what is in the text. This chapter was first adopted in 2008. Then, as I mentioned, a future revision considered under the WOAH Aquatic Animal Health Strategy. Then, in this case, this chapter only have 2 articles, the guiding principles for farm fish. Remember that always we are talking about farm fish, and also the scientific basis for the recommendation that probably will going to change a little bit after the work of the consultant. That's from my side. Normally in the program it's mentioned the chapter 7.6, but that one I will talk about in my second part when we after Tenzin's presentation on dog population management and use of animals in research, because it's a chapter that they still need to be finalized in terms of the revision. Then I will talk a little bit more of the current content of the chapters. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. Next presenter, Mr. Tenzin.
Shall I ask a question till then? Madam Chair.
Yes. I think it's better we have all the Leopold presentations and then we ask the questions after that. After next presentation, after Tenzin.
Okay, good morning. So I'll be presenting 2 chapters. That is this chapter is use of animals in research and education. That is chapter 7.8. So you know that, we all know that millions of animals are used for research and education in the world. And the use of this animal has benefited us in many ways. Like in terms of research, if you wanted to produce antibiotic, any medical intervention first it has to be like well researched, but usually it was first tested in animals and then it is finalized for use in humans. And for example, like in 60, 70 years ago, the life expectancy of human was maybe like 30 years, 20 years. But with so much of research, with so much of improved medicines, healthcare, now we are living like 70, 80, 100 years. It's all because of research. But WOAH emphasized the need for a human treatment of animals, that the good quality science depend upon the good animal welfare. It doesn't mean that we should not use animals for research. It has to be used, but we have to maintain a good animal welfare. And WOAH recommend the member countries to address all essential elements of animal welfare in the use of animals for research and education. So like, for instance, in UK in 1876, they have a Cruelty to Animals Act. And in USA in 1966, they have enacted Animal Welfare Acts. And I have seen that most of the countries have their own animal welfare and cruelty acts. And this is one document. Sorry. So this is one document that is available for the use of animals in animal research. That is a guideline. Now coming to this chapter, use of animals in research and education. So these are articles. I think you might have read about this animal welfare in the animal welfare document. There are 10 sections. Section number 7.8.1, definition, scopes, like that, and this chapter contains 10 articles. But I'm not going to, discuss everything in these few minutes of presentation. So what is most important is 3 R's. 3 R. That is what we have to really understand. What is 3 R's? That means replacement, reduction, and refinement. Replacement, reduction, and refinement. So it means that scientists are working on new approaches to replace and reduce and refine animal experiments, meaning that we should not, there should be a new ways of producing a result by replacing the use of animals. Under replacement, there are 2 types of replacement: relative replacement and absolute replacement. Relative replacement means we have to use methods that utilize cells, tissues, and some organs of animal for coming up with a good result. And absolute replacement means you are not using any animals for the research. You are using some modeling type, all these kinds, IT, information technology. That is, by using this method, we are also, the scientists should also try to arrive to a good conclusions. That is replacement. Reduction means there should be a method to reduce the use of animals, like use of methods that enable researchers to obtain comparable results, level of information from using a fewer number of animals, or you get more information but from the same number of animals or fewer number of animals. That is reduction. And refinement means you are improving the current animal research to reduce the suffering of the animals. Like use a method that prevent, alleviate, or minimize pain and suffering and distress of the animals. And another thing is improves the housing and living condition of the experimental animals. Then use the best anesthesia or analgesia protocols, and use a non-invasive exploratory approaches like ultrasound, MRI. So these are the 3 very important elements under this use of animals in research and education. 3 R's: replacement, reduction, and refinement. Sorry. Now another.
You're not online anymore. I think you switched off the presentation.
Yeah, for this research, the legal aspect, the oversight framework is very important in the use of animals. That the competent authority, we have been discussing about competent authority should, implement a system for the verification and compliance by the institution in the use of animals for research. And there should be a committee of experts, animal welfare committee. I think most of the countries have animal welfare committees. And the members of that committee should be a scientist, there should be a veterinarian, and there should be a public member. And the ethical review of animal use should be undertaken at the local level, national level, or at the regional level. And the roles and responsibility of these members are to, you have to review the project proposal. We have to, when a researcher submit a proposal, we have to review the project proposal. And then we have to also conduct a facility inspection, whether the research teams are conducting in as per the requirement or not. And also you have to conduct an ethical evaluation at the end of the research program. Then the first thing is assurance of training and competency. The most important thing is the committee should have a committee, as well as the researchers should have a competency. Like they should be well educated about how to conduct a research. Like scientific staff, the person responsible for conducting a research should have a very sound knowledge about use of animals in the research. And there should be a veterinarian, should have a medical knowledge about animal behavior and the distress. Then the animal care staff should have a knowledge about how to care the research animals. The students as well as other committees should have good understanding of the animals' behavior and animal welfare aspects. And that is why animal welfare should be included in the veterinary education curriculum. And another thing is the provision of the veterinary care. The veterinary care, adequate veterinary care includes the responsibility for promoting an animal's health and welfare before, during, and after the research procedures. So veterinary care should include attention to the physical and behavioral status of the animal, like clinical responsibility means examining the clinical status of the animal. Post-mortem examination, veterinary medical records, then any advice on the zoonotic risks and notifiable disease of those animals, then the surgery and post-operative care, advice on anesthesia, and also on the human endpoints. Then the source of animals is also very important in the research. Animal to be used for the research should be of high quality to ensure the validity of the data. So the animal used for the research should be used of a high quality, and the animal procurement should be acquired legally and purchased from a recognized source producing high quality animals. And the use of wild animals or non-human primate is strongly discouraged for the research purpose, and the purpose breed animals should be used whenever these are available. Like guinea pigs, mice are specifically bred for use in the researches. So all this, like documentation, animal health status, genetics of the animal, all should be well identified and discussed. Then article 7.8 until 10 discuss about the physical facility and environmental condition. Like the experimental animals should be kept under well ventilated condition. There should be a good temperature and humidity maintenance, lighting, avoidance of noise. Then article 7.8.9 discuss about the husbandry practice. Like when you are transporting your research animal to the research facility, there should be a minimum stress or distress to the animal. Then the animal should be acclimatized to that condition. Then the cages and pen should have, good spacing to express their normal behavior. Then enrichment, feeding, watering, bedding, hiding, identification, handling, all should be taken care of. Then the article 7.8.10 describe about the transportation. So transportation is the, most stressful experience for the animal, and all this transportation, guidelines should be adopted. So, lastly, the outcome of the finished. The outcome of the use of the animal is like, if you use the animal for research and education, by adopting the animal welfare, there would be a good care and welfare for the animals. And it's also good for the human welfare and safety.
Thank you.
I have one more presentation. I think this is not working well. I think I have to use a mouse from here.
Yeah, you can use this.
Dog population management. Like, may I know, like, how many of your country have a national rabies control strategy plan? How many of national rabies control strategy plan? Okay. Then, is in that national rabies strategy control plan, is there any chapter or section that is dedicated to dog population management? Any guideline on dog population management in that national rabies strategy control plan? So the dog population, it looks like the dog population management is not incorporated in your national rabies control strategy plan. And do you have a separate national dog population management strategy plan? Okay, Mauritius have a national dog population strategy plan. So it appears that out of the 27 English-speaking member countries, only one country have a national dog population management control plan. Now, dogs were domesticated about 16 to 34,000 years ago. And the dogs lived, since then dogs live with humans. And dogs has played a very important role in our human lives, as a companion animal, as a guide dog, for the security purpose, as a hunting, as a herding, protection like that. And there are estimated 700 to 1 billion dogs in the world. 700 to 1 billion dogs. And in Africa, the human-dog ratio is 12.3. That means for every 12 person, there is one dog. And if you, extrapolate the African population, 1 point something billion, there would be around 121 million dogs in Africa. And you see, these are the dog densities in Africa. Dog densities in Africa. And there are, based on the ownership, there are two types of dog, owned dog and free roaming dog, unowned dog. And free roaming dog, out of these 1 billion dogs in the world, 75% of the dog population are free roaming dogs. 75% are the free roaming dogs. Now, to understand the dog population dynamic. This is on dog, is on dog. Whatever the source of the on dog, you are purchasing from the pet shop, you are purchasing from the breeders, you are purchasing from the another owners, you know. These are the source of on dog. What happened to this on dog? If you are not taking proper care of this on dog, this will roam into the street and it become a roaming dogs. It become a roaming dogs. Then these roaming dogs are, you know, sometimes it is, if you are able to trace these roaming dogs in the street, you are bringing back and become a own dog again. Then sometimes these own dogs are lost in the street and then become a roaming dog. This is the roaming dog now. Then sometimes these roaming dogs are reunited with the owner and it again become a own dog. But sometimes they are not united and they become a unowned dog now. Unowned dog, and these dogs are released in the street. And these dogs are, some of the dogs become a community dogs. Then what happened to these free roaming dogs in the street? They are rehomed from the street. Some government organization, they will take back this dog and rehome. They will put into a shelter. At the shelter, it is adopted by the owners again, people. And sometimes it is relinquished. And some of the dogs are, they die. So this is the dog population dynamic, on dog and free roaming dogs. And the sources of the free roaming dogs, are from own dogs. That is why we have to take proper care of the own dogs to avoid free roaming dog population. The impact of the free roaming dog population, you all know that. What will be the impact of the free roaming dog population? Free roaming dog have an impact on public health and safety, like disease transmission. There are 300 zoonotic diseases transmitted by dogs to human. 300 zoonotic diseases transmitted to dogs. And dog bites and rabies. Like 59,000 people are dying of rabies every year in the world because of dog bites. And how many dog bites are occurring? Around 29 million people receive PEP because of dog bites every year. Then we have road traffic accident, environmental contamination by feces, you know. If you release dogs in the environment, there will be a contamination of environment. That dog feces may contain like parasites, echinococcus infection. Then dog barking and noise, etc. So many. Then free roaming dogs have impact on wildlife and livestock, disease transmission, predation, and extinction of the endangered species. So it has been now researched that 11 vertebrate has already extinct because of dogs. And 188 more species are likely to be extinct because of dog attack. And also is because of poor health and welfare condition of the dogs. Now, in the previous chapter 7.7, it was a stray dog population control. Stray dog population control, because that chapter focuses only on the stray dog. So, you know, dog population means free roaming dogs is comprised of either own dog or free roaming dog. Own dogs become a free roaming dog. So the next chapter, 7.7, revised chapter, is dog population management as a general, not particularly specific to the stray dog population control. So there are 27 articles under this. There are 27 articles. And you know the definition of dog population is a measure to enhance the care of the dogs for the benefit of improving the dog health and welfare and public health and safety. That is the main essence of the dog population. And the main objective of the dog population is to promote and establish responsible dog ownership, improve health and welfare of dog population, reduce the number of free roaming dogs, stabilize the dog population by reducing turnover. That means to your reducing the more number of puppies. Then reduce the public health and safety, contribute towards elimination of dog-mediated human rabies, then reduce nuisance caused by free-roaming dogs, then prevent harm to livestock and other animals, and prevent illegal trade and trafficking dogs. There are several objectives of the dog population management. And the competent authority is responsible for the management of the dogs, and the competent authority normally is veterinary services. So it should combine veterinary service, other governmental agencies, civil society includes dog owners themselves, and the dog breeders and sellers, and also the advisory groups. So the regulatory framework, legislation that addresses dog population is a key for sustainable implementation of the dog population management. Legislation is very important for dog population management. And it comprises of all these, responsibilities. And when you are preparing a dog population management, we should develop a concept about the dog population. Then you implement, then evaluate. It's a cycle. We all know that.
2 minutes time.
Okay, then these are the dog population program assessment and planning, like review the current regulatory framework, then identification of the priority issues, exploration, identification, and estimation of the dog population. There are several issues. And I'm just like to share experience from Namibia. Like in Namibia, we conducted a dog population survey and knowledge attitudes in survey and tried to estimate the human-dog ratios. We conducted this survey in the northern communal area of Namibia, and we have identified the human-dog ratios. Then we estimated that there are 270,000 dogs in this region. Based on this, then the Namibian DBS are implementing a mass dog vaccination. These are the vaccination points. That is how it has to be conducted. Then there should be a key indicators. When you are developing a dog population management, there should be a key indicators. These are the key indicators that should be included. Like at the end of the dog population, you should have the own dog population size, demography, responsible dog ownership. In the free-roaming dog population, you should have density, the prevalence of zoonotic disease should be reduced, then the knowledge and attitude of the people should be increased, then the dog population movement from owned to unowned dog should be reduced, then the adoption and reuniting should be increased, dog bites should be reduced, rabies cases should be reduced, number of rabies PEP should be reduced. These are the indicators for the dog population management. And these are the measures like registration, identification of dog, regulation of commercial dog breeders and sellers, promotion of responsible dog ownership, then reproduction control, catch, neuter, vaccinate and return, reuniting and adoption, access to veterinary care, environmental control, and education of safe dog-human interaction. So if you are doing a registration and identification of dogs, this will support the enforcement of the legislation. The outcome is you will be able to trace the ownership of the dog. Then on the regulation of commercial dog breeders and sale, there should be a regulation. It will protect the dog health and welfare. It will avoid abandonment and transparency in the dog breeding and sales. Then under the control of national and international dog movement, it will reduce the risks of contagious disease spread like rabies. It will protect public health and safety, protect wildlife and livestock, and also protect the dog welfare. Then under reproduction control, it will reduce the dog population turnover. Then like impact of the reproduction, impact of the reproduction. If you do sterilization campaign, this will improve the overall welfare of the dog, reduce the disease incidence, and reduce dog bite incidence in the human. So these are some of the publications. I'll take 2 minutes. Yeah. So these are the articles. Yeah, I can share. And this is the main essence of the dog population management. Like promote responsible ownership, strengthen dog population professional capacity, and access to reproduction control and access to veterinary care. So in summary, these are the useful guidelines. So if you look at this, especially this ICAM, there are very good resources available in this, and it contains very good information about the dog population management and tools. Thank you.
Try to be short, Mr. Leopold. We have a lot.
Okay, we're going to try to make up for time, so we're going to cancel the presentation on aquatic because the initial chapter has already been discussed by Leopoldo in his earlier presentation, so we'll just focus on the remaining chapters of the terrestrial code. Thank you.
Mr. Leopold, please try to summarize.
I will try to summarize the 6 chapters in 10 minutes. I'm prepared for that. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, I will not going into the detail of each chapter. Please remember that we here at the regional office and also at the headquarters, we are able to or available to help you with any question you have in terms of the more specific or technical issue that appears in the chapters. Then don't hesitate to contact us on this regard. Just to recall, once again, it is my slide that I show every time, that it's the way that we are dealing or preparing the chapters and reviewing the chapters following this idea to give more importance to the outcome in the animals, and that's mean outcome-based criteria, which I already mentioned in my previous presentation. This also I already show it. I will talk about chapters 7, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14, but just mention some aspects. I didn't mention the 7.6, which is a chapter that is under revision in my previous presentation, but this is more or less the content that we have today. If you go to also to the report of the Code Commission and the report of the other group so far developed a draft that consider just the preliminary part of the chapter. That's mean the organizational structure, the general principles, the responsibilities and competencies, and the consideration in the planning, because we are going to start developing in October all the different methods that are considering more or less are going to be the same one that we have in the current chapter, but we are trying to follow the structure of the chapter 7.5, which I will talk a little bit in the afternoon, and that means that the identification of the hazards, the identification of the criteria, that means the animal-based measures, in the use of each of these methods, some recommendations for the use of that method, and some specific recommendations. Then As I said, today we talk about and the draft that the Commission will analyze next week. It's just more the organizational aspects of when you need to kill animals, and I already mentioned that the scope is a little bit different, not only on disease control purpose, but for example, it could be a disaster situation, etc., in other kind of settings. Then that probably will help our members, because at the beginning this chapter was quite focused on health issues, and now it's more open to support the veterinary service, or support the veterinary service in this kind of situation where they need to cull a lot of animals, use this chapter. Now, the beef cattle production system. It's true that this one, which was adopted in 2012 and modified in 2013, didn't follow what I show you in terms of outcome-based measure totally, even if there's some initial ideas on identification of criteria, and to include those criteria like behavior, mortality, morbidity as indicators for the recommendations. Then if you see, this chapter is quite short. We have 5 articles: definition, scope, commercial, what means commercial beef cattle production system. We always, when we review or develop a chapter, there is a discussion between the expert on what means commercial, and we discussed it even with Bas yesterday when we talk about the backyard poultry system. But here this thing is that in the criteria and measurable, it's a huge chapter with different points, and in the recommendations you find all the recommendations, for example, for handling, for feeding, for we talk about the painful procedures that are doing in this system. And I take also some words from Tenzin about the use of the concept of the 3 R's, that also the experts included in some animal production system chapters, because also there is the possibility to use the 3 R's. For example, in castration, you can refine, you can reduce, or even you can replace that management that is painful with other alternatives, like it could be immunocastration, etc. For sure, this is one of the chapters that the Code Commission is having in mind to start a revision of it, to put it more in the structure that we are developing the revision of other chapters. Now, in terms of the welfare of broiler chicken, I think this is more or less the same idea of the cattle production system. There's very few articles, just 4: definition, scope, the criteria and measurables. That means the identification, as I mentioned, regarding mortality. In broilers, it could be the contact dermatitis. That is, it's important to identify this at slaughterhouse, gate, feather conditions, etc. And recommendations that are not in different articles, which is, for example, the case of the latest chapters in terms of biosecurity, in terms of the environmental and management, etc. Probably also this chapter is going to be follow a revision process to put it in line with the rest of the chapter. I came back to the discussion yesterday, but here, for example, in the definitions and the scope, we consider not, I would say, backyard, but it's mentioned the complete outdoor system. That means that the poultry are not in a barn or in a poultry house, but there is always in a outdoor area that is limited. Then it's quite difficult to differentiate it, for example, from that we normally call a backyard production system. Now going to the dairy cattle production system. Now we are starting seeing what is today more or less in the structure where we have, but still we need to probably split in the future some articles like the recommendations because they are concentrated in just one article and it's difficult to for the reader to follow it. Then here we have the definitions, what is a dairy cattle production system, the scope, in this case it's the welfare aspect of the production system, the criteria, once again, what is a commercial dairy cattle production system, and here also we define it like houses, pastured, and combination of system, and could be also a mix between house system and pasture that is always not in a confinement. And then we have the criteria. As I mentioned, this is the animal-based criteria. In dairy cattle, it's important the behavior. There's some also lameness is one of the important criteria that in this case are considered. And then the recommendations. Recommendation also on system and design of management, and also the physical environment, and recommendation on animal management practice. Then it's a little bit confused in terms of what we are trying to do now, and also probably this will be the third one in the list to review it. Then we arrive to the chapter on working equids, quite important for also for this region, as also in Latin America. Remember that in the last focal point we did a specific day on working equids. Also we did that in 2019 before COVID in Brazil, in Latin America, with I think good success, and I think that you enjoyed a lot. One important thing here in terms of the scope is that the equids that are used for in competition sport are not considered in this chapter. In my country, in Chile, there is a huge discussion also now regarding our animal protection law, because also the animals used in sport and competition, and we call it cultural activities, are not considered under the animal protection regulation. And then now the idea is to include all animals in there, because in the old law, those activities, like for example horses for sport or for race, are regulated by their own regulation, their own organization. Then it's sometimes it's difficult to enforce or to improve the welfare of the animals if it stays in hands of the individuals or organizations. Then here we talk about a lot of the responsibility. Here also in this chapter was important and also it's important for the dog population management that not necessarily the veterinary services is dealing with this specific population because there is a lot of horses using for traction transport that are not necessarily under the work of the usual work of the veterinary service. For example, that's the case in Chile. And here we also have some the criteria or measurables, always looking for animal-based measures and other, but mainly animal-based measures and recommendations. And specifically it's a lot on feeding and provision of water, because for the expert at that time was something, a specific point that is critical, also like the shelter for this specific population. Sorry. And now, this is more or less what it's a chapter that we are developing today with a more extensive or detailed, or we split the criteria and the recommendation under each article. This is the animal welfare and pig production system that it was adopted not a long time ago, where we have the definition, the scope, and also the recommendations, well, the identification of the criteria. That is probably the structure that we are following, and I mentioned the revision of chapter 7.5. We have mainly the hazard. Here we are not going in detail on the hazard for welfare. We are not going to in detail as in the chapter on slaughter, but at least we have the identification of the criteria and the recommendations. And the recommendations goes in each of the different articles, like training, handling, inspection, painful procedure, where I mentioned that we also there is a reference to the 3 R's, and all the aspect that can also, I can say, include some animal welfare hazard. Also, there is mention to contingency plan and disaster management and humane killing, that probably it's going to be related and cross-reference with the revision of the chapter 7.6 on killing of animals. And just finished with the, sorry. With the killing of reptiles for skin and meat and other products, which is one of the latest chapter. Remember that this chapter was, and I explained it you in the chart of the standard setting process, was really a need of a specific member to have this kind of guidance, as in their own country they are starting to thinking to ban the import of skins of this kind of species of animals. Then, as the pig production also follow more or less the structure that we are using in the latest chapter, the scope, the definition, general consideration. Here it's quite important because it's as this chapter is focus on chelonians, cocodrilians, and lacertilians and ophidians, which are in a way different to the to mammals. They have a specific they have some specific aspect that they need to be considered, for example, when stun them or killing them. And there is also a quite important mention to CITES, because some of these species are under the CITES convention. Then the source of the animal is important, as also it's mentioned in the chapter on use of animals in research and education. And we're going through the different operations, like the restraint and the methods for stun or killing, or both of them. And as we mentioned in the 7.5, there are some methods that are unacceptable in this for this purpose in the killing of reptiles. Well, that is quite a very, very fast, rough mention about the chapters. I wanted to highlight the more or less the evolution, and also to invite you to review the chapter, and also to even send us questions for some specific aspect you need to wanted to be more detailed, but also if you find something that need to be also addressed probably with the Code Commission in terms of update, even before that we start the process. And also, once again, I invite you to follow the process of the revision of the chapter 7.1 and 7.6, which are the ones that are today in the oven for the next general session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Leopold. You have tried your level best. Thank you.
I don't know if now we can have
I think we can have few questions.
Yep.
For you and Mr. Tenzi. You are welcome the floor for questions. In case you're free. My neighbor first.
Thank you very much, presenters. Mine is not a question, but it's a suggestion. That since you are mentioning that the revision is taking place, and when you look at the chapters of this, of the animal welfare, I see some of the things were not originally mentioned and were not handled. For example, they talk about dog population, but this document is not talking about the welfare of other pets and captive animals. I suggest that this one should be taken care of at revision. We are talking about the welfare of other animals like working animals. But we, like my sister in Kenya mentioned something about welfare of animals used for entertainment. And this document doesn't take care of this. The welfare of other animals, especially the small ruminants, is not taken care of this, in this document. When you look at the document, it talks about broiler chicken and others, but it is not guiding properly on other types of poultry in other production systems. So I think that one should also be thought about and taken care of. When you look at the document, it also doesn't talk about, it doesn't guide, let's say, countries which are interested in making their rules or making their strategies on the aspect of training and capacity development. So I think this should also be thought about and should come up. And it should also give guidance on enhancement of communication and awareness creation. I get this one from my brother of Ethiopia, because I asked him a question about awareness creation, which is a bit a challenge in Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I may, I would like to not to answer that one, but maybe make a point on the whole system of the standard setting process, which you are part, your delegate is part of it. Remember that we started with, there was a circle that was mentioned, delegates, international organization that we have an agreement, global conference. There we start with this kind of request. We need to have a standard for other poultry rather than and then the Commission started to discuss it. We have, as always, of other governments, limited resources. Then the Commission need to prioritize and prepare the working plan, because it's not only welfare. Now this under revision all the chapters under Section 5 of the code, which is a huge one, all they're related to trade. But it's important that you have those requests and discussion between you, between the regional commission, and then convey that kind of request to the code commission. But it's true that, for example, pets, it was discussed when the other group that prepared the original dog population control chapter, because they discuss it, okay, we just focus on dogs, we include cats, we include other pets. That there was always part of the discussion, the same thing on the broiler chicken. There was, we are going to include more species, but always there's a final decision that's it's influenced by the resources, the importance for the whole members, etc. But it's something that is always has been discussed, but it's also important your participation in that discussion. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to refer to the previous presentation. In the previous presentation, I saw where we talk about the 5 freedoms. The 5 freedom and the domain. I saw the domain in brackets and was said that it has changed. Which one is changed? Which one will be in use? Is it the domain or the 5 freedom?
The revision, as I said, is not yet finalized. It will be proposed, I don't know, I hope, for adoption. The idea will be to include that concept also in the current chapter. Then it will be still a mention to the 5 freedoms. It's something that is still valid, but also there will be the inclusion of the 5 domain. As I explained you, the 5 domain has been scientifically validated as a good tool for the assessment of the animal welfare when you are using animal-based measures mainly, but also resource and management-based. Then the idea and the proposal of the Code Commission today will be to use both of them, not taking out any of the 5 freedoms, neither the 5 domain. It's just to include the 5 domain as an important concept, mainly to assess the welfare of the animals.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I want to ask a question from the previous speakers that has to do with when he talked about using animal for scientific research. In the process of using the animal for scientific research, my problem is this. You don't think that you'll be violating the activities of the welfare of the animals, and also maybe using them, maybe take for instance, you want to slaughter and extract some parts for research purpose. And maybe they are on maybe certain control and the movement is being restricted. Maybe you want to use it for that purpose. Don't you think you are like, take for instance, getting against them? And the other question has to go to Mauritania's wish. She said that based upon some activities, when they receive complaint, they carry the inspectors. So my thinking is that you must wait to receive the complaint that the animals has been treated wrongly before you go there, and the finding questions be posed to them. These are some other things that also you need to look at. I think you need to have some inspectors already in the field instead of you waiting for complaint to come to you before you can take action. And the other question has to do with, it goes to you, on the 7.6 that has to do with slaughtering and killing of animals under the chapter 7.6. My thing is this. If he's slaughtering the animal, maybe to control disease spread, to control all activities that may spread even from human to animal or so, why don't you think the treatment could have been the best option instead of slaughtering it? Slaughtering in the process, does it really mean well? Thank you.
Maybe I go first because we'll be short. Well, chapter 7.6 is still under revision, but one important statement at the first time, at the first part of the chapter is when the decision to kill the animals is taken, then you follow all the recommendations that are. As you mentioned, there could be other alternatives, but those alternatives are going to depend on what the country needs, for example, in terms of animal health status. But also, as I said, this, the revision of the chapter is when the official competent authority took the decision to kill the animals for whatever reason. Now I mentioned not only for disease control purpose, it could be that animals that are suffering because ashes from a volcano are completely jeopardizing the welfare of the animals. But it should be other alternative, and the chapter it's focused on when the decision of kill the animals are taken.
For the animal research, I think it is the responsibility of the scientist that they have to write a very clear proposal about the use of animals, and also the ethical review committee. When a scientific researcher come up with a proposal, it is the responsibility of the ethical committee to review the proposal and also to amend and also to monitor the use of animals in the research. And also at the end of the research, they have to evaluate whether the animals used for the research are treated well or not. Just not to wait for the complaint. It is the responsibility of the ethical committee in a country to monitor the use of animals.
Yeah, I wish to add that this chapter, the 7.8, the use of animal research in education, is a little bit different also to the other chapters because it was developed to support member countries to develop their own framework on the use of animals in research and education. Then there is no recommendation, for example, on husbandry of laboratory animals. But as Tenzin mentioned, there is a lot on the how to develop CUC, the ethical committees, etc., and also to develop their own regulation.
Yes, I'm still reiterating a question that was asked. You find that we are developing these standards for various production systems and for various activities. Now, here we are in Africa, and there are certain activities, whether we like it or not, we still find them being carried out because even some are even perpetuated by the highest people in the political arena. For me, I'm asking, is it possible also to develop maybe the standards for use of animals in entertainment? Because they are there, they are being used. How do we go about it? And also for the cultural activities that are carried out within Africa. Because the way we develop these standards, sometimes they are in contrast. And that is why even when we try to stop them, they are still continuing. Is it possible maybe to do that?
Thanks for the question. That is also quite political one. I can say first that because of that, we have the introductory part of animal welfare. Then when you develop your own regulatory framework, you can always go to that part that gives some guidance on the use of animals in whatever setting you wish to use it, like cultural events or animals used in circus. Probably it's not a priority for WOAH in terms of, I mentioned that we have limited resources, and the Code Commission has also other priorities, not only in welfare, but it's important that you have that chapter that can be referenced in your own regulatory framework because it's mentioned some important aspects that can be also be useful when you want, for example, regulate the use of animals in entertainment. Okay, but so far, and I'll mention again, it's your role at the region to send that priority to WOAH and to the relevant bodies in the WOAH. Thanks.
Okay, I suggest we take a 20-minute break and come back here at 11:45, and we'll make the best of it for the rest of the morning session. Thank you. forgot to thank the past chair for her excellent facilitation. Thank you, Annette. We'll keep you in mind whenever we need high-profile chairpersons for our upcoming meetings. And the next chairperson is actually sitting next to her. It's Agol Kwai from South Sudan. So Agol, please take it away. And try to save us some time if you can.
Thank you. Colleagues, I think we are left with 1 minute, one hour plus. So let's start this session, and I hope it will be ending by 1 sharp, so that we go for lunch. With that, may I call upon a colleague from Malawi to give us
Chairperson,
yes.
I just discovered that I don't have Malawi's presentation, but I know he sent it to me, so I just need a few minutes to transfer it. So can we maybe start with Nigeria? Would that be okay?
Yeah, please. No, why not? Yeah. Can we start with Nigeria, please? Yeah.
Niger. You are the chair.
Nigeria? Go for 8 minutes or 10. Thank you. So that you, unless you don't want to be asked. Thank you.
Okay. I have only 8 minutes. All protocol duly observed. I'm Dr. Ilya Yohana. I'm a new focal point replacing Dr. Mabel Awo for Nigeria. This is just the outline. This is our introduction. In Nigeria, animal welfare, to many people, sound like new. You ask them, they will think twice before they give you answer. So it's another thing that we have a lot of. So it's something that we have to work on it. And most of the factors that led to this is the hardship. It's all over the world. It's not only Nigeria, but people are experiencing hardship. And some people, because of their low perception, they respond that way. Animals are just seen as sources of income. When you don't have money, you have animals, just carry to the market and sell. But to take care is another issue. So people motivated towards that good welfare is very, very low. And challenges with implementation of animal welfare standards include the poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance, among others. Yes, inadequate legislation for enforcement. But recently we have Animal Disease Control Act that was approved to us in 2022. That's the major milestone that we have attended, and inside that one we have the whole chapter on animal welfare, but in the previous one nothing much was said about it. So we have low NGOs there in Nigeria, and sources that is coming from the government is low. So the situation analysis is like many other developing countries, is not different. So the policy document is still under review. It is a draft, which even me, I have not seen it up to date. But it was said during the handover that it's still under draft and review. I have talked about the legislation, which I have it already. Then the implementation is successful. It's a successful. We developed a strategy for animal welfare before I came in, and it was there. Then we inaugurated the National Council on Animal Welfare in 2022. Now, if you look at the situation analysis of everything that's going on in Nigeria pertaining to animal welfare, I've talked to us about going to the market. This is how some people carry their animals to the market, which is not a good practice. And this lack of adequate education and awareness is a bottleneck. So we need to work hard towards it. And if we can get source of funding, it will be good for us. So we lack enforcement too. There are other things that we see down there. We have poor husbandry practices, especially in the village and small backyard farms, and we don't have ranching system because our people adopted, or the Fulanis mostly, the herders adopted free range. They prefer that. So, but now our president is struggling to see that how you can make it better and bring ranch. So he created the Federal Ministry of Livestock and Development, which is not yet in force. The welfare of our production animals, if you look at it, let me just jump this one because we don't have much time. We spoke about this yesterday. The animals that are in free range, they also have issues because of insecurity. So some of the people, maybe the bourgeois that have the cattle, so they resorted to bring the animals closer to the towns and cities where the animals go around. And if you look at the picture, you look at animals scavenging in those bin areas where they can get leather that contains some salty, and they will be eating, and you know the implication. It will block the rumen, which may lead to health challenges. If you look at the other picture, they are migratory. They don't stay in one place. As rainfall is coming, they will be going far north. As the rainfall is decreasing, then they will be going south. That's how they will be. So to make them stay in one place is another challenge. See how some people transport the animal. This one, in 2022, I pick it with my hand, with my phone, that I pick it. I was wondering, I didn't know that this thing was existing, but it was existing. And still, another person sent me this picture. Road safety blocked this person, querying him. This kind of transport, is it approved? But he doesn't even know about the law. So we have a challenge there. Early in the morning, as I'm going to work, this is what I saw. I even take the picture. In this truck, we have one of the cattle that is slaughtered, but because of the early morning picture, it's not very visible. The other one is transportation of animal for long distance, almost close to 400 kilometers. So when they came to the abattoir where they sell them, they put them, and they have to revive them before they can sell it with good amount. Animal welfare is like in there. So in the drought animals, if you look at it, I told us they just see as source of income. In this far north, you get animals either for transportation, to fetch water, or for traction. So they use animals for various means, but the care is not there. So this is another thing that we encountered in 2022, one heavy flood that has come and ravaged River Benue side, where Kogi State is located. So that one, a lot of animals that have been transported from the north, because it's the northern part that have the bulk of the animal, as they go to the south, this flood blocked them, and a lot of them died. And because of the pressure, the government has released money. We have this workshop last year, animal welfare during emergencies and disasters. We call all the stakeholders and have this workshop. It's a mal achievement to us, at least we have started. What of chickens is normal. If you look at this, it's a traditional market where they bring chicken to the market, and look at the way they keep it. Some are in this traditional cage, and some of them are outside, but their legs are tied with no water. So it's a big challenge. In broilers, some people use growth promoters, especially in Abuja area where there is market. So, but FCT have spawned on this one, but I didn't hear their last. So this one is another market for birds. That's live bird market in far north, where they bring all spent layers. Look at the way they are crowded. And they are waiting for buyers. Even if you put water there, they can't even drink because of their crowdedness in that area. Welfare is not good there. Then if you look at the other picture, this person is a friend to my wife. She bought these birds more than 2,000. But because of the nature of how she put them, she lost about more than 1,000 before the day stabilized. And at that point, that's when I heard about it. So the stocking density was too high, and there were not a good free space for them. This is another companion animal. Look at where it is, hostile with, but you can look wound all over, flies. Here is not there. If you look at this, another challenge is dog market. This dog market is located in the north central, where people bring dogs. So now it has started escalating. Not much. Some people eat dogs. Even my own, they stole one. So I cannot be seeing it like that. So we have to work on animal welfare so that we can protect them. But this one is real. It's courtesy of somebody, it's not mine. This is about farm fish. Actually, we have not done much about farm fish, but this belongs to one of the small-scale farmer. So the way he changes water is bad. So we have to advise him and put some things in place for him to understand. So after he has changed water, these are the fishes that is. So in summary, livestock largely undergo suffering due to undernourishment. So, well, this is a summary of what I've said. This is our vision. We have already developed a strategy. Before I came in, it is there, but this is the vision. A nation where welfare of animals is respected, promoted, and advanced simultaneously with the pursuit of progress and socio-economic development. So, this is the strategy. Our strategy provides us with a direction for development of action plans to implement existing WOAH guidelines and standards, provide a roadmap for development of future animal welfare policies based on national consultative approach, and it facilitates establishment of priorities that are consistent with the agreed strategic goals. It provides a framework for cooperation among stakeholders in promoting advancing animal welfare in the nation. So, these are priorities. In all this, we can't do everything at the same time. We are starting by developing a national animal welfare standard, including broad consultation with industries and other stakeholders. Raising awareness.
Your time is over.
Then improving participation of all stakeholders. Yes, these are mal achievement. This is a training. This for animal emergencies, and the other one is normal workshop for livestock for slaughter. This is another achievement. We produced this. ISA help us, but it's only 2,000 copies, which is not enough. So I acknowledge these people for their pictures. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Johan. Nigeria, do I suggest that we continue to listen to the other two presentations, and then we ask questions. So jot down your question, please, and let's continue. Do we go now for Malawi? Malawi, you have. Okay. Okay. Okay.
I follow doctors' prescriptions. 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. If you drink 3, you
Julius.
You are the doctor today.
Go ahead.
Okay, good morning this afternoon. Presentation from Malawi. I'm going to look at vet services, I'll jump. What is animal welfare, I'll jump. Legal framework, I think I'll start from there. Then animal welfare guidelines, animal welfare bill, and a few animal welfare activities in Malawi. So my name is Julius Chulu. I come from Malawi. They call it the warm heart of Africa. It is positioned at the position where in the anatomy of the human being, a very archive one, because in the current one, I think that looks like it's in the kidney region, but we call it the warm heart of Africa. So veterinary services, I said I was going to jump, but the functions of veterinary services, I think there are about 9 of them. On the WOAH website you can find them. But today we're going to look at the last one, to defend animal welfare. Now, what are we doing to do this now? Protecting animals through well-enforced laws and regulation. That's what the National Veterinary Services can do. Animal protection requires being able to control the conditions in which animals are raised, transported, and slaughtered. Veterinary services are the best qualified community to prepare legislation on animal welfare and see that it is enforced in the field on a daily basis. Now, in Malawi, this is the Department of Animal Health and Livestock Development, and it is also the Veterinary Authority, which is a community of government authority of WOAH member states. I think that's now WOAH, vets, other professionals, and paraprofessionals. It has the responsibility and competence for ensuring or supervising the implementation of animal welfare, animal health welfare measures, international veterinary certification, and other standards and recommendations that are found in the terrestrial and aquatic codes. Now in Malawi, we have a few legislations that we use: Control and Disease of Animals Act, Meat and Meat Products Act, Milk and Milk Products Act, Protection of Animals Act, which is as ordered the focal point, Hides and Skin Trade Act, Veterinary and Paraveterinary Practitioners Act of 2000, Livestock Development Policy, Livestock Strategic Plan, National Agriculture Plan, as well as National Agriculture Investment Plan. Now, in the National Livestock Development Policy, there are 9 priority areas, but priority area number 2 is on animal health, veterinary public health, and welfare. Now, this provides for promotion of animal production and health and welfare of animals, prevent and control diseases, regulate import and export of animals, improve veterinary public health services, update and align all animal health legislation, regulations, and protocols with the relevant national, regional, and international policies. Now, WOAH sent a legislative mission in 2016, which discovered that our veterinary legislation was lacking in a few areas. Requirement for the owner of the animal to ensure the well-being of the animal. The law doesn't obligate the owners. There's no definitions of animals, animal well-being, human killing, human slaughter, the journey, resting period, and others. So we are looking at revising our laws to make sure they are in tandem with what WOAH prescribes. Now, we have an old act which I mentioned, Protection of Animals Act. The WOAH legislative mission says this act lacks an appropriately qualified designated animal welfare committee. So there's no provision for that. It also lacks the authority to authorize the minister on the advice of Animal Welfare Board to make regulations or setting standards for animal welfare in Malawi. So we're working on that one as well. Malawi has animal welfare guidelines. They are very new. They were made in 2019. The guidelines outlines the responsibility and the expected standards to be upheld by all stakeholders, including farm owners, ranch and dairy farms, commercial poultry producers, government officials, animal welfare organizations, including vets involved in animal management and care. Now, this animal, no, I think I've jumped a big step. Now, okay. I'll jump. There is an animal welfare bill, which is now the result of the revision. This bill now provides for fundamental principles of animal welfare, the competent authority, inspection and enforcement, plus duties and powers of animal welfare inspectors, and then also it provides for powers to prosecute. There is also provision for human education, keeping of animals, transportation, surgical procedures and who can do them, slaughtering of animals, animal sanctuary and hospice, the use of animal for enforcement, surgical operations, control of aggressive animals and animal pounds, then other, I think that's we borrowed from the lawyers. I think we have 1 or 2 lawyers in the house today. They know what it means by miscellaneous. It means we cannot finalize everything. Now, a few animal welfare activities. We work with 2 non-government organizations. The first one is Blantyre SPCA. It is, in terms of animal welfare, it looks at inappropriate ways of sterilizing animals, docking of tails. Some people just use nylon. As others, they just cut without anesthesia. So neglected animals, animal cruelty, and as well as stray dogs in need. Continuing on the same one, this is an example of an animal that came to the hospice, to the animal welfare. On arrival, it's on the left. 2 months down the road, that's what happened. So just evidence. In terms of training, we have got the Lilongwe University of Agriculture and Natural Resources where we train vets. So these students are taken to the welfare organizations. They are there for a 12-week training for the 4th year. I think it's not 12 it's 12 week. Wildlife experiences in one of the national parks. They are taught how to do to take care of the wildlife. Then in terms of emergency support, I think all of us are aware that Malawi was one of the countries that was severely hit by Cyclone Freddy. We lost human life as well as animals. And then a few animals were treated. I think one NGO came from Kenya, actually, from my sister. She's gone to the office, but there was one NGO from Kenya that came to work with the two local Malawian NGO and Malawi government to treat 3,000 animals. I think it was in a period of 1 to 2 weeks. Then antiparasitics, I think simple treatments, but they went a long way. And then in terms of animal welfare awareness, we have stakeholder meetings with the police, magistrates, courts, and city. We have trained almost all the district councils in terms of the police, prosecutors, and magistrates on animal welfare.
2 minutes left.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. And then animal welfare initiatives now, LSPCA, that's the one in Lilongwe, another animal welfare organizations. This one is running a rabies project, which Tenzin is going to be very happy to hear. And then we also look at the transportation of chickens. I think my Nigerian brother was showing a few pictures. The same happens in Malawi as well. People carrying the broilers upside down. They say, why are you doing things? They are going to die anyway because they don't have, they don't know that animals are also humane and sentient animals. So we have to continuously educate people. We're going to eat them anyway, but no, before they die, if they are given tender loving care, the meat is even softer. There is scientific evidence for that. And the chicken transportation is continuing. I'm not going to, I think I'll jump that one. Then the problem there and the solution. So people, if you go to a big poultry company to buy chickens, if you don't have this type of basket, you are not allowed to buy chickens in Malawi. So they have to look at your chitatanga, the basket first, then you're allowed to, your money is good enough for them. If you don't have that, they're not going to sell chickens to you. So we have made that one a law. Then Animal Kindness Club teaching primary school kids on how, if you love animals, you're definitely going to be able to love other people. We don't call ourselves animals, but somebody who loves animals is also 110% of the time is also being able to love people. If a dog is going to see a girlfriend, you stone it, you are going to do the same to a human being. So there's also roadside care. They just keep a small puppy by the roadside the whole day. So we are trying to teach people, the vendors, the city councils, we are sitting down and finding appropriate places where they could be giving the animals shelter as well as drinking water. And then from there, we also look, there is a donkey project. Oxen have got humps, so if you put a yoke on them, it's okay. But for donkeys, they're made anatomically different. So we are treating out, if from the picture you can see, that one is designed in Malawi by a Malawian trendy farrier, and it's under Lilongwe Society for Protection and Care of Animals. So we are...
You have spent all your time.
Okay, thank you very much. I think working donkey welfare and then working dogs welfare, then community clinics. Ngiyabonga kakhulu. Asante sana.
Thank you, Dr. Julius. And you failed to tell us why are you putting there the American Veterinary Association logo.
Because I went to America for a conference, so I just borrowed that.
Or Malawi is a part of the state.
No. I
Okay.
Conference. I just wanted to show off.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Julius. May I now call upon Dr. Haishi, Dr. Mohammed Hashim Mohammed from Somalia. Please take the podium. You have 10 minutes also.
Hello everyone. My name is Muhammad Hashi. I am from the Somalia Ministry of Livestock, Forestry and Range, Department of Animal Health. So, and also I am focal point of WOAH Animal Welfare. This is a background of Somalia. Somalia is strategically located at the mouth of the Bab el-Mandeb gateway of the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. The total area 660 kilometers. The current population of Somalia 18.14 million, World Bank. Somalia have 5 federal states, and the land mass is mainly semi-arid and suitable for pastoral, 70%, 55 pastoral, and agro-pastoral 24, and are crop farmers and 1% of fisheries. Livestock situation analysis in Somalia. The livestock sector is a backbone of the economy, engaging about 55% of the population. In livestock population, livestock export contribute 40% of national GDP and 8% of foreign currency earning. The livestock sector remains economic growth and poverty reduction, but its potential interrupted by the structural weakness and by acute exposure to deadline risks. The livestock contribute a various dimensions of livestock and dimension of human life include food security, livestock livelihood, biodiversity, conservation, traditional, cultural. Somalia also exported live animal, heads, skin, chilled and frozen meat carcass. Somalia have 4 quarantine station, Berbera, Bosaso, Kismayo, and Mogadishu. All properties were financed by the Somali business. The Somali livestock population estimated 56 million animal head, out of which 13 million are sheep, 10.5 million goat, 6.6 million camel, 5.5 million cattle, quoted from the FSU security. Situation animal welfare. Poor welfare currently, the animals are evident in every stage, during the production, during transportation by land, sea, air, holding in the market, and slaughter. Working donkeys carry heavy loads. Slaughter animals to walk long distance or transported in overcrowded track. The slaughter animal are handled roughly and not good situation. Animal waiting slaughter which other animals. Continue working donkeys. Somali Animal Welfare Society has been incorporated donkeys welfare project with support from international organizations like Donkey Sanctuary. They operate mobile with clinic and treat injured donkeys, education, owners, better care, practice, dissipate this effort. Donkeys often suffer from negligence and abuse of there are no specific laws protecting them. Donkeys faces significant challenges such as beating, drug abuse, overloading, and negligence. For the stray dogs in Somalia population control, stray dogs for the harsh condition, and there have been instruction from cooling by local authority, government agencies, NGOs, and ministries of livestock, ministries of health, and population are essential for successful control of dog. Somali Animal Welfare Society and other animal welfare group advocating for a better treatment and protection of stray dogs, but progress is slow, limited resources to the cultural attitude towards the animals. Overall, while there are dedicated efforts to improve animal welfare, much work remains, but to be done to ensure the human treatment of stray dog and donkey in Somalia. Conclusion, the Minister of Livestock, Forestry and Range and federal government, Somalia developed a national strategy, National Veterinary Law Code number 2126, June 2016, was adopted and endorsed by the federal government of Somalia. Among the 15 chapters of the National Veterinary Law Code, in Chapter 5, dealing with animal welfare, describing in Section 5.1 and cruel animal treatment, Section 5.2 and cruelty during animal slaughtering and unloading, and dealing nothing about the cruelly doing animal transportation and unloading and unloading. In addition, the Ministry prepared animal welfare code with not yet validated and endorsed. The main challenges in Somalia: insecurity, lack of animal national welfare, lack of animal national strategy plan, poor knowledge on impact of good animal welfare practice, lack of financial resources, poor of cooperation between institutions, poor infrastructure for export livestock, lack infrastructure of animal welfare regulation, frequent droughts, also poor legislation implementation of standard, inadequate of animal welfare NGOs and Somali Animal Welfare Society, not have enough trained of staff of care for animal welfare in WOAH and AU member states in animal welfare, poor public awareness.
You have more 2 minutes.
Okay, animal welfare. This this is welfare working equities. This poor welfare for equities. The donkeys overloaded and okay. Also transporting by sea, the cattle, camel, and so on. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you, Dr. Hashi. Thank you, Somalia. And now it is 12:20. And I think the remaining minutes will be for you to put across questions and get them answered. So please, I'm giving this to you, the opportunity to raise questions and get them answered. So welcome. Thank you. Questions? Can I start by myself? Somalia, how do you coordinate between Somali regions? Hargeisa, Puntland?
18 regions.
Yeah, 18 regions.
In all 18 regions.
Yeah, I'm asking the semi-autonomous regions like
Puntland,
Somaliland,
Jubaland,
yes, and the National Authority.
Yes, Southwest and Lower Middle Shabelle.
Yes.
Iran.
Yeah. How do you coordinate between them?
This coordinated is not so good because every region's authorities, it is not an facilities to members the Minister of Livestock.
All right. And the welfare in regard to camels, you have not mentioned anything about camels, and we know Somalia is the owner of camels in Africa.
Yeah.
And camels have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Do they consider welfare, animal welfare, while dealing with camels?
Yes.
Okay. Let me give questions. Mauritius, I think you raised your hands.
Hello, my question is to Malawi. Yeah, you mentioned in one of your slides control of aggressive animals and pounds. What are the control in place, and what are the indicators for you to proceed in regards to aggressive animals?
Malawi, would you like to take it?
This chair is intimidating. Thank you, Chair. What is happening is now educating people on how they can handle aggressive animals. It's not that we put a roadblock, or it's training on how to handle animals properly. So if the animal is aggressive, what you're supposed to do, so they are taken through. The technicians go to livestock cooperatives or livestock groups, farmer groups that, for dogs, the actual animal welfare staff are the ones that are trained how to handle aggressive dogs, which equipment you can use if you need veterinary interventions. There is a toll-free number they can call, then a team of vets will come to help you control the aggressive animals. So it's awareness as well as training on how the aggressive animals can be handled. In terms of dogs, because in the past when we had rabies campaigns, to entice people to bring the dogs to the vaccination station, we're saying if your dog is not on a leash, we're going to shoot dogs. And everybody knows shooting dogs does not control anything. It was just to force people to bring their dogs to the station. But people mistook it for population control measure. So we have lots of dogs here, come and shoot them down. So we go to that area and tell the people that no, shooting was not for population control. Because if you shoot one dog, the rest of them, they just run away. And they'll breed from somewhere else where there is no gun to shoot them down. Thank you.
Thank you. More questions? Yes. That's Uganda. Please.
Thank you very much, Chair. My question goes to Nigeria. He shared a lot of interesting slides. And among them was, what I got from them was a need of to have enforcement, to have these things controlled. I want him to give me his experience as far as enforcement. Because now when you look at the way our governments are structured, we are supposed to have maybe inspectors on the road, veterinary inspectors. Do you have veterinary inspectors? How do you do enforcement to control such acts?
Thank you. Nigeria?
Thank you for this question. As I said earlier, in Nigeria we don't have much done in animal welfare. In 2022, August 4th, that's when we inaugurated National Council on Animal Welfare. And from that, there's no much resources coming from government to do that. But we had plans. One of the plans is, in that inauguration of that council, we have technical working group that we have cited. There are about 10 of them. We have companion animals, animals in wild, livestock and production, aquatic, animal research, animal use for sports and recreation, ethics, regulation and policy, animal in emergency and disaster, animal in transit and awareness and advocacy. These are the 10 planned method of how we can do this, especially what we are talking now is enforcement. Ethics and regulation, they are going to take part in that. And in animal transit, all these committees, they involve the military, paramilitary, Navy, custom, all of them, they are part of this committee. That's our plan. So that when we come to do this, we develop a guideline each for this, which will cover all. You know, Nigeria is so big. If you don't know how to tackle it, they will tackle you. So because of that, we have to follow a way so that when we do this at national level, all that I give you is at national level. So when we do this at national level, then we bring the DVS from each state. We have 36 states and FCT, making 37. So all of them we bring together for a workshop. After that one, we have already designated animal welfare in each of the states. So we bring them together and give them a workshop too, so that when they understood it, when this one understood, and we have a plan that we need to get animal welfare marshal and champion. So when we get that, then we work towards implementation of enforcement. But as it is now, if we say we are going to do it, like we are starting climbing a tree from the top, not from the bottom. So that is how we are planning to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nigeria. It's you now, Rwanda.
Thank you. Muto, I was very curious to get some details from Nigeria. It was sad to see that some people are eating dogs. And I was asking if it's existing for a long time over there. It's new. How do you see it as a government? Do you think you can manage it? But also I was recommending maybe WOAH to give us overview if there are some recommendation for the animal to eat or not. Because we are afraid that in our countries also, because there are some Nigerian or other people, this could happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, it's not everywhere. But it is said that one man's food is another man's poison. Other people eat what you don't eat. People that eat horse. In Nigeria now, hardly you meet some people that eat horses. And you are accepting to any food that you want to eat. If I come to Kenya, what Kenya is eating, I will try and manage and eat. And if you go to their place, Gongom, maybe it has been a tradition for long. And this is what, maybe some people even celebrate Christmas with it. Now you just go and say that they will not do it. What reaction will you get? You understand? So it has to be policies and policies gradually to meet up with this. But I'm telling you, there are things that is eating Africa. You know, all these hunger strike, protests and that. It is contributing to some of these things because some people will say, and insecurity, which is major. When I begin to understood, I found out from some people, they said that if you eat dog meat, your eye will see better. You will see something far, you know? All these things is contributing to some of these things. So because of that, it lures some youth and this begin to eat dogs because of what? Looking for protection. Thank you.
That's very interesting. Yes, yes, very interesting. And when you go to China, you see what is being eaten. Will you ask them, Dr. Julius? You tell them don't eat this and eat. Sorry, yeah, you are from Liberia. Welcome. What's your question?
All right. Thank you. Nigeria, I have a few concerns that has to do with the picture you displayed. It is that a cattle was slaughtered and the meat was in the car and the live cattle was being on a same car. What you're saying? Because the thing is that I'm afraid that in the process there would have been, some other problem that would have happened when they're dead. One is dead, have been slaughtered, and you have the live one in the same car being transported that morning. I didn't see the picture clear, but I don't know that what happened. And the second one has to do with, it says somewhere in Abuja, people are using the growth promoter, where they have a largest market. My thing about it is that, are they taking into consideration the same thing we had yesterday about the misuse of this antimicrobial resistance? Because I know that with the growth promoting, they will add some of the additive to increase the growth of the animal to be attractive to the market. So I'm thinking whether they have such thing, being done in that direction. And Malawi, my neighbor, you were talking about, I heard you talking about the biotechnology. Don't you think it's against the animal welfare getting into biotechnology activities, maybe to advance the feeling or to improve the growth? Because I saw it in your presentation and I took note on it, so I needed to have asked you on that, how it has been used in your country. And Somalia, what I saw for Somalia, just a minute, please. I have a point for Somalia. You talk about some stray dog in a country. What the management practices look like for the stray dog in Somalia? Because I'm afraid that I don't know whether you have the control strategies for the rabies. Because 2030, according, we should help to minimize rabies. And you have a lot of stray dog. I don't know whether you have a strategy to control the stray dog in order not to get in contact with people and be bitten by those animals. So I'm thinking about that as well. Thank you.
Give it straight away to Malawi. Malawi, tackle your question.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if what I said was captured properly, because we don't use biotechnology for animal welfare, but the bill provides for things that can be done. If you want to use animals for biotechnology, animal experiments, the bill now will say who is supposed to be allowed to handle such type of, who can handle animals in terms of having the ability to know that animals are sentient beings. So if you want to use animals for biotechnology, you have to have the requisite qualification for you to do that. Yes, I think that's what the message, that the new bill, the old one was just protecting animals from cruelty, but the current bill were surgical operations, who can do them, biotechnology, like artificial insemination, who can do artificial insemination. If you want to harvest the organs from the animal, who can do it, that kind of, but not using biotechnology for as animal welfare. I think maybe I did not communicate very well, but yeah, thank you.
Maybe you are cloning Nigeria.
Yes, on the issue of cattle that I said, one of them is slaughtered. You know, the attitude of businessmen, they always like to make a margin of profit, a huge profit on a small thing. If you look at the picture, it's not clear because it was still a bit dark. I don't know where they came from. I was just passing with a car, I just snapped it from the glass. That's what I saw, but because of that one that is slaughtered, what makes them to slaughter that one? It may be a stray, they are overcrowded in the car. So as a result of that, maybe that's why they slaughter, because it will not reach their destination. So that is what happened. I envisaged that that is what happened. But actually, I could not even get them to even ask anything. But as I told you, the issue of enforcement is not yet in place. So where will I start? Where will I begin to talk? But it's not only me that is seeing this thing. I believe a lot of people are seeing that in that same country. That's why now the issue of animal welfare is gradually coming up. But still some people doesn't even know about it. That's concerning that. Concerning the use of drugs, corticosteroid, I think since the last cycle, that is in 2018, last time the workshop held, this workshop, I think it was also presented. But from that time, after that one to now, I've not had the case again. That's what I said. I've not had anything about it again, because anything that happened in FCT and around, that is where the law starts. And that's why the law can work. But in the States, I don't have any picture of such practices. But Abuja and environ, you can't talk of Abuja, because most of the people that stayed in Abuja or work inside Abuja, they are most of the suburb of the city. So that's why this is started, because a broiler that is supposed to grow, maybe to reach table egg at 8 weeks, by 6 weeks, it is table egg. And they'll go, this one is heavy. you know, they will get margin profit. That is what resort into that practice. But I think it was covered up. That is why the practice is not had again. Thank you.
Somalia, can you quickly go before we take more questions?
So in stray dogs in Somalia, it is not a dog population management and policy, strategy and regulation and enforcement of the disease, when outbreak, the disease of the dog population, the authority, all the disease, the dogs are killed, not vaccinated, mass vaccination.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm coming to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all for your presentations. It's very interesting to hear about the positive steps and the challenges in your country. I had a question for the speaker from Malawi, for Julius. There were quite a lot of projects that you didn't have time to cover, and I was quite interested in some of them. So I wonder if you could explain a little bit more about the Working Dog project. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to thank the presenters. Of course, all of them presented on common issues that are affecting animal welfare issues. Moving forward, you realize that all of those interventions, if we should have intervention in animal welfare in any of those countries, it has to start with the legal framework, which of course some countries have started. They are far away. Some have not even started. Like if you get to Sierra Leone, we've started with the animal welfare bill, the health and protection bills. We started it far 2019. It's this year that we've engaged the legislature on how we should pass that bill. But there are a lot of difficulties in the development, the passing of those bills, especially in terms of supports. And in as much as we are having organization, if you go to Sierra Leone, as I'm here, I really want to appreciate the effort of FAO. They are the leading organization that we are operating in Sierra Leone, supporting livestock production and especially health aspects. They are focusing more especially on health. But if really we have other organizations that are coming in, that we harness the area of the welfare, I think it will be better. But if we only have these few organizations, each of them has their mandate. You will not expect for FAO to be more focusing, like the presenter said yesterday, focusing on animal welfare in Ashmos, that is not much of there. So we expect other organizations also to come around as we are presenting to see the problems and how they will also come and help in addressing them as we move forward.
Thank you, Sierra Leone, for that comment. It was a good contribution. Now Malawi, we go straight.
Thank you very much. I really didn't have time for that, for sure. Yeah, we have got the Lilongwe Society for Protection and Care of Animals, together with the Department of Animal Health and Livestock Development. We looked at these security companies that use dogs for guarding people's property. And then we decided, in the past we had a lot of problems with the welfare of the dogs. They would keep them in the sun for the whole day without anything. Now we developed what we call a stamp of approval. So for some security company to use dogs, they have to have a stamp of approval from the Department of Veterinary Services in Malawi. So we go to inspect their kennels, the way they feed them, the vaccination, everything else, and then the training that the dog handlers are given. So together with the welfare organization and the district council, people go around, and then once every year they are given a stamp of approval that for this year your establishment is allowed to use dogs as part of the security companies. And every 3 months our animal health inspectors, they go. If they find something contrary, the stamp of approval is withdrawn. So it is a government stamp, but the advocacy and the trainings are done in conjunction with an NGO that is dealing with animal welfare as well as rabies control. Thank you.
Thank you, Malawi. Thank you, colleagues. I think that is a good sign. Silence. That means we have a, Buzz, give you the last question.
Thank you, Agol. You are amazing, because we went from being 15 minutes behind to being 15 minutes early in the whole process. So for all I care, you can stay chairman for the rest of the week. No, a few comments, and maybe Anno Leopoldo is not here. The thing about, you know, the morality of slaughter of certain species. As WOAH, we don't take positions in this debate. Okay, let's be very clear. We are not there to judge whether eating dogs or donkeys or any other species is moral or immoral. That's a cultural judgment that you need to make as a country. My example is always, and I always try to tease the French a bit, the French eat frogs. Is that immoral? It's a heritage. It's their heritage. It's what they do. It's what they like. I'm a Belgian. We eat horses. I admit it. We eat horses. Is that immoral? So you may judge me as a person or as a nationality. As WOAH, we do not judge what you eat. And as an international organization, we must be very careful that we stay within our mandate of finding rules and regulations and standards that apply to the whole world. Okay? This being said, I lost my train of thoughts there for a second. So what should apply, and I've had this discussion in Africa a few years ago when the donkey trade issue came up, and we were contacted by stakeholders and NGOs, and why doesn't WOAH take a position in the trade of donkeys? And we said, you know, we are not here to judge whether slaughtering and eating donkeys is immoral. The only thing we can do is, if you do it, apply our chapters on slaughter for human consumption. That's all we're asking. That's our position. If you do it properly and respect animal welfare standards. Okay? Another couple of comments I heard was about, you know, why don't we cover this, and why don't we do this, and why don't we cover entertainment animals and maybe working dogs and whatnot. Not everything is of international relevance. So we have that with diseases as well. Not every disease is of international relevance. If a disease only occurs in West Africa, it's probably not going to be listed by WOAH. And the same goes for animal welfare to a certain extent, but there is room for regional policies, regional positions. Again, the donkey skin trade is probably a case in point, where the African Union has stepped forward with very strong recommendations on what they see as being the way forward. It would be very hard for WOAH to do this at global level. Maybe for the simple reason that that donkey skin trade may not be a global issue, although it links at least 2 continents. Okay, so just to clarify that we cannot do everything that you would like us to do, and as Leopoldo has said time and time again, in any case, it's not me or Leopoldo or even you as a focal point who decides what happens. It's your delegate that needs to step forward and ask us to work on certain subjects.
That's, do you have a question? A question, let this be the last one so that we wind up for the lunch. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. My question goes to Marawi. I was pleased to know that they have Animal Welfare Act in place. So I would just like to know what are the operational structures in place in Malawi to deal with animal welfare issues? How do they coordinate efforts, cooperate from the ground to the national level?
Malawi?
I was in Liberia for the first part of the questions, so I will guesstimate or okay. In terms of animal welfare, I think in Malawi we have a decentralized, on paper, decentralized government where we have district councils that report to agricultural development divisions that are a few districts in the same agricultural ecological zone are grouped into one agricultural development division. So they have a head of veterinary services at that level. From there, they report to the national office. When it comes to animal welfare, every district, every region, they have got their unique problems which they prioritize that they need maybe help from the national government. So for the city councils, they have the same type of problems, and then most of the NGOs at the moment also operate in the city councils. So the welfare issues that we're talking about, we have regular meetings. We also have a committee which was set up to control rabies, which we use. It is called One Health Committee. Minister of Health, Minister of Natural Resources, district councils, as well as local government, they sit in that One Health Committee to outline issues. But it worked very well because of rabies. Everybody understands that rabies is easily prevented by vaccination. So now, using that committee, most of the messages can easily be disseminated to everybody during our quarterly, sometimes monthly, and sometimes ad hoc meetings. So the trainings for staff of the NGOs, the curriculum, I think the actual content is discussed by the relevant departments, and then everybody else uses the same training material, whether they're in the south, in the north, or in the center. Malawi is not very big, but at least the people are not in one place. So we use the same curriculum to train everybody else. In terms of coordination, the district has a veterinary person in charge of the district, and who reports to the person in charge of all agricultural activities at the district. So it's very easy. We go down to what we call an extension planning area. Extension planning area in Botswana, they call it the livestock or posts. So from the extension planning area, you go to the district, from the district to the division, from the division, you come to my office. I think that's how we disseminate the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Malawi. I think that brings us to a close to my tenure as a chairperson, and a close to the session. So I give it now to Bas, maybe to advise.
Yes, we're not going to lose the 10 minutes that you managed to save on this, so please have lunch and be back here. Let me be bold. Let's be back here at 1:45. Is that okay? 1:45, we're back here and we start with the afternoon session. Thank you very much. Have a good lunch. And thanks to Agol again for his excellent chairmanship.
Okay, you can.